up, walked out of the door of my office, walked down the hall to the bathroom to clean myself up. I walked by a TV screen, and there you go. So yeah, the 24th anniversary. I want to start today's show by mentioning the fact that yesterday in Colorado at Evergreen High School, two children were shot. Happened at 12:30 p.m. local time at Evergreen High School in Colorado Foothills, about 28 miles southwest of Denver, according to the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Suspect was believed to be a student at the school. A sheriff's office spokesperson told reporters in a news briefing his identity has not yet been released. One of the two student victims who was hit is in critical condition at the Common Spirit St. Anthony's Hospital in Lakewood. The second student also at St. Anthony's, and their condition was described as non-life-threatening. Their identities have not been released. Kelly said the deputies responded to numerous 911 calls, making contact with the perpetrator within 5 minutes. No law enforcement officers fired any weapons, however. I don't recall flags being called to be at half-mast. Today we're going to talk about what we know. We had a long discussion, and I talk about this in terms, I say this every single day because it goes without saying, I have the best mods in the business because we get real in our conversations. We talk about things in terms of, how can we talk about this? What should we say? What should we not say? And they challenge my beliefs, and when I challenge theirs, and we work together to try to come up with the best way to approach things like this. And oftentimes, we put a lot of time into this, and I run a company. I've got my own business, and I've got another little business on the side. I'm working on other projects, so this is important to me. So we spend time doing it. And oftentimes, I'm prepared for a show, but I mentioned to them last night that I was nervous about this show. Not nervous for myself, not nervous for my own safety, but just nervous because what are we going to be walking into today? Because from my perspective, this is day one, right? This is day one. And the hard truth that we all need to come to grips with is that we are not free. One of the biggest lies, in my opinion, told to the American public is that we are the freest nation on earth. We're not. We are not. I vehemently disagree with just about everything that comes out of Charlie Kirk's mouth. Vehemently. I disagree with his stance on women, on marginalized communities, on everything. I disagree with everything that he has to say. But he did not deserve to be assassinated for his political beliefs and his political speech. His children did not deserve to grow up without their dad because of their father's political beliefs. His wife did not deserve to lose her husband because of his political beliefs. Cannot be a free nation if our speech leads to political violence. You're not free. We're not free in our nation to practice our religious beliefs. We're not. We have a faith office in the White House that is led by a Christian nationalist. We're not free. You're not free to publicly express yourself. You're not free to do that because you're considered a threat. You are not free to petition the government with your grievances. You will be deemed a threat. You're not free as a journalist to report on the information that is happening around us because you will be considered a threat. We are not free. We do not have freedom in our nation. We don't. In fact, we are more violent than we are free. We are a country that promotes a gun culture. We are a country that, in many cases, well, obviously radicalizes this, but promotes it. And I was thinking as I was trying to go through this exercise tonight, because I was up all night because my brain was just firing on overload. Because how do we talk about this kind of stuff? Because it's and Olive just said in the mod chat, we have to avoid becoming desensitized, and I feel like that's happening. Right? I feel like that's happening. Again, Charlie Kirk was entitled to his free speech. He's entitled to it. We can disagree. That's the point. We can disagree all day long. That's the point. We live in a world now, because of hyper-politicization and rhetoric, that consequences came about. And we're going to get into some of the things, the ironic things that he has said, specifically as it relates to gun violence and firearms in general. It got me thinking, well, I'm all over the place today, so just bear with me. In cruising the right-wing lives last night, I got what I expected, right? I got what I expected because it's not a both sides issue. And we're going to break that down. It's just not. The overwhelming majority of political violence has been perpetrated by people on the right. People calling for, the termination of political bodies and entities. Where were they when the 2 Minnesota lawmakers were gunned down in their own home? Flags weren't thrown at half staff, maybe for a half a day. Where were they? Where were they when Paul Pelosi was brutally attacked in his home? There's dozens of examples, hundreds of examples. Hundreds. We're not free. We are not free. We are absolutely not free. You are not allowed to speak freely in our nation. I'm not talking about TikTok. Fuck TikTok. You're not. You're not allowed to challenge conformity. You're not allowed to protest. You're not allowed to practice what you preach. You're not allowed to love who you love. You're not allowed to make choices for your own body. We're not free. Stop thinking we are. We're not. We're not. Again, I vehemently disagree with just about everything that comes out of his mouth, that came out of his mouth. Everything. I have sympathy for his wife and his children, his young children, 3 and 1, who will grow up without a dad. Video that was just brutally grotesque. Please do not post anything in our Discord. I asked that. Brutal. And likely that will be something that will live in the public domain forever. And at some point in their lives, they will probably see the video of their dad being assassinated. Did not deserve to have that happen because of his political viewpoints. I'm up here every day with very strong opinions about things. Very strong opinion. Very, very strong opinions about things. And I own that. And I own it. And I own it. And I don't apologize for it. And I don't. That's the point. That's the point. The whole point of these freedoms that we're supposed to have here is that so we can all express our opinions on things. We connect the dots historically. We connect the dots to things that we've seen in the past. We make comparisons to rhetoric. We make comparisons to past behaviors. We make comparisons to things that we've seen that have happened as a result of some of that rhetoric. That's how we talk about it. We do make references to early 1930s Germany because they're applicable. It's my right. Freedom. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. You don't have to agree. So that brings us here, right? That brings us here on day one. And I don't know if you guys remember the movie Miracle, right? It's about the U.S. hockey team. And a famous speech that Herb Brooks gave in the locker room prior to the game against the Soviet Union at the time. And he said, great moments are born from great opportunities. Opportunities in his Minnesota accent. I think today, last night, potentially was a great moment, a great opportunity for our president. Let me just do this real quick. a great opportunity that he missed, that he failed on miserably. And I'm not surprised. Not at all. Not surprised. Because a leader's job, especially the leader of the freest nation on earth, has to look at everything. He's the president of the United States. He's made it very, very clear that he doesn't want to govern radical leftists. So instead, this is what he said.
Great fellow Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today, and it must stop right now. My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed.
I think that's enough. So for years, that's all we've heard. That's all we've heard from the president. First administration, prior to that, when he wasn't president, saying the same thing over and over again. Radical left lunatics, the enemy from within, Marxists, communist threats, despicable people, the thugs, the worst of the worst. Everything, every single day. The transgenders, every single day. It wasn't AI. That's posted on his True Social. Okay. Every single day. Every day. Every day we've heard it. And the left and the right is going out there saying now that this violence is coming from the left. Soon thereafter, this happened yesterday. You have Nancy Mace, who has absolutely participated in so much of this hateful rhetoric, especially towards members of the LGBTQI community. This is what she said. She's an elected official. She's a congresswoman. Okay, we don't know the person who perpetrated this crime. It's now a crime. Is still not captured. There's still a manhunt on. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But this is what she had to say.
I'm going to say this. Democrats own what happened today. I am devastated. My kids have called panicking. They probably, all the kids of every conservative in the country call panicking. Just because you speak your mind on an issue doesn't mean you get shot.
Then, by that logic, do Republicans own the shooting of the two Democratic lawmakers in Minnesota?
Political.
Isn't this on both sides?
Are you kidding me?
No, I'm asking.
We don't know what condition Charlie Kirk is in right now.
Ooh.
Some raging leftist lunatic put a bullet through his neck. And you want to talk about Republicans right now?
No, I'm asking.
No, not at all.
You said the Democrats
have this is on. Democrats own this.
But isn't there a problem with political violence across the spectrum?
Yeah, we're talking about Charlie Kirk right now. That's the subject of this that we're talking about right now. Democrats own this 100%.
She didn't like that question. She did not like that question. We don't know. We do not know. We do not know. What we know is that a college campus in Utah, one of the reddest states in America, who, by the way, I wrote this down. Thank you, Francis. I wrote this down. This is the language as it relates to firearms in the state. This is Utah. It is legal for an individual 21 years old or older with a valid Utah concealed fire permit or Utah temporary concealed firearm permit to carry a firearm on or about the premises of a public or private elementary school or secondary school as described in 76-11-205, on or about the premises of an institution of higher education as described in 76-11-205.5, or on or about the premises of a daycare as described in 76-11-206. That is Utah, one of the reddest states in America. All the good guys with firearms apparently didn't do their job. We do not know. We do not know the whereabouts. We do not know the affiliations. We do not know motive. We do not know anything. And the right wants to accuse the left of political rhetoric when the president of the United States called out the American people last night in that statement, radical left lunatics, and Nancy Mace, an elected official, says the Democrats are to own this. Where was her? Notice, I'm glad the reporter asked the question. So that if you're going to make this claim, then shouldn't Republicans own the other one? Oh, no, we're not going to talk about that. What we know is that the shot was fired from, reports are 200 yards away. There's all kinds of videos out there about someone on a rooftop, camera angles. I'm not going there yet. I'm not going there yet. And I'm asking you guys to not go there yet too. There's plenty of time to get it right. That's our job. Let's get it right. Let's not lean in on conspiracies. Let's get it right. Yeah, you heard it. That's Utah. One of the least restrictive firearms laws in our country. We don't know, Leslie. That was one report, 200 yards. We don't know. Okay? We don't know. Again, it is legal. It is legal for an individual 21 years or older with a valid Utah concealed firearm permit or Utah temporary concealed firearm permit to carry a firearm on or about the premises of a public or private elementary school or secondary school as described in one law, on or about the premises of an institution of higher education as described in another law, or on or about the premises of a daycare facility as described in yet another law. Good guys stopping bad guys? We don't know. Neither does Nancy Mace. But for the president of the United States to go public from our house, the White House, and again attempt to blame radical left lunatics for what happened is just criminal and diabolical. And I was asked last night by the mod team, they worry about me every day, and I love it. I'm not worried about my safety because I'm a white privileged man in America. Gray beard, I can assimilate anywhere. I ride motorcycles. I own firearms. I like to fish. I like to work on bikes. I'm a bit of a gearhead. I can assimilate anywhere. I am not a threat to anybody. So we know the impact. We know what we know what they mean. We know what the responses have been in right-wing circles. Again, we're not free. Not free. Marginalized communities know that. They've never been free. Thank you, Sam. Let the mods handle the riffraff in the chat today, you guys, okay? Let the mods handle it. They got it. They are fired up. It's always the marginalized communities. Under perfect conditions, it's always the marginalized communities now. Then we have Jesse Waters. Just last night. After this. Again, I want to say it again. I vehemently disagree with just about everything that Charlie Kirk said and stood for. But he did not deserve to be assassinated for his speech. He did not deserve it. And I think once we have anger, once we can let the anger, again, a fundamental difference between us and the right, ideologically, is that we can accept that. I could sit across the table from him and we could argue and we could debate politics and we could have legitimate political discourse. And I would call his opinions disgusting to his face because of what his rhetoric and what his language has done to marginalized communities. He's made millions of dollars. Millions, tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. But it's his right. It's our right. We are not free. This is Jesse Waters just last night.
They are at war with us. Whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us. And what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? This is a turning point, and we know which direction we're going.
And then the right-wing echo chamber got really fired up last night. So this is a compilation of quotes come from names that you'll recognize. From Elon Musk, the left is the party of schmurder. From Laura Loomer, conservative activist and Trump confidant, more people will be schmurdered if the left isn't crushed with the power of the state. From Katie Miller, former White House staffer and wife of Stephen Miller, it's a real threat to see all these liberals condemn political violence. Now you have blood on your hands. From Jesse Waters, whether we want to accept it or not, they are at war with us, and what are we going to do about it? How much political violence are we going to tolerate? Andrew Tate, 2 words, CW. You know what I mean by that. Shia Reichik, creator of the far-right account Libs of TikTok. This is war. Daryl Cooper, far-right activist and podcaster. The left won't stop unless it's forced to. William Wolf, former Trump administration official and Christian nationalist influencer. The goal for Republicans in the next 10 years shouldn't just be to win elections, but to destroy the Democrat Party entirely and salt the earth underneath it. We're not free. We're not free. We're not free. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. If you'd like to contribute to the cause, to support what we do here, you can find all my various things at Factsstillmatter. Thank you very much. Please consider subscribing too. I think it's really, really important that we call out a few things, because I don't believe that the right will talk about this, because there's been some very strong statements about Second Amendment rights uttered by Charlie Kirk. In 2023, at a Turning Point USA event, Kirk argued that having an armed citizenry inevitably leads to some firearm-related deaths. This cost is a trade-off worth accepting to preserve Second Amendment freedoms. He stated, quote, "You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. I think it's worth it to have a cost. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational." Kirk also suggested that we might mitigate certain types of shootings, specifically at schools or public venues, by deploying more armed deterrents, drawing parallels with security measures at airports and banks. He remarked, quote, "How do you stop school shootings? Because we have armed guards outside of baseball games, airports, banks, gun shows." In broader context, Kirk frames firearm violence as a necessary downside of preserving constitutional rights, especially the Second Amendment's role in protecting other God-given rights. I don't know what to say about that. I don't know what to say about that. Again, I will vehemently disagree with him on everything he says and everything he stands for. And I'll have a toe-to-toe ideological debate. But he did not deserve to lose his life because of his opinions. And it's okay to say that. You can despise him, because I do too. But it's not okay. It's just not. And the rhetoric coming from the right now is intentional. It's intentional. Because they now have to own this. Because one of their champions, Charlie Kirk has been talked about as a future president, had been talked about as a future president. the conservative, the Christian national conservative belief that has become the Republican Party in our country saw him as a potential president one day. Seriously. So their stalwart, their person that said, hey, you know what, to have our 2A, to have that right, to protect our other rights and liberties, even though they don't know what the 2A even is and what it stands for, he justified people losing their lives. He lost his in one of the reddest states in our country, in a state that has some of the most laxed gun laws anywhere. Anywhere. So, I feel safe. I always have my head in a swivel, though. I've got a pride flag outside my house. I've got the science is real flag outside my house. Put yard signs in my yard for progressive politicians in my state. Here we are. We're not free. We're not free. No one should be subjected to what happened to him yesterday because of their political beliefs. I caused this, right, Red? Yep, I caused this. I caused this. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I can't sit up here and share my political opinions, but Charlie Kirk can. Charlie Kirk can go out and our president can go out and demonize tens of millions of Americans every single day. The radical leftists, the lunatics, the crazed, bloodthirsty mob, all the things coming from people like Nancy Mace, all the horrible things that conservatives have said about the trans community and women and black people and indigenous communities and the disabled and everyone else every single day. They're not responsible, but I am. Okay. Summary for Charlie Kirk is that he accepts some annual gun deaths as the cost of preserving liberty. Well, there you go. Another thing that I think it's necessary to address, because we talk about this often, and I apologize if I go all over the map today, because I've just been, my brain is just like firing like crazy. This is one of those moments where I'm psyched to have some ADHD, because it gets all kinds of shit flowing in there. It might take me in this direction, so I apologize if we get all over the map. But anyway, one of the things that I heard in these right-wing spaces last night is, this is why we have the 2A. They don't understand what it is. They just don't get it. They've never understood it. They believe that they have their Second Amendment rights to rise up against a tyrannical government. Constitution doesn't agree. In fact, the Constitution has a little thing called Article 3, Section 3, the Treason Clause. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act or confession in open court. Treason only covers two specific acts: levying war against the U.S., taking up arms to overthrow the government, or giving aid and comfort to U.S. enemies, especially during wartime. The Constitution tells you that your belief set about a tyrannical government, you've been lied to. Again, education. So a lot of the anger, a lot of those feelings that you have right now that you want to react to, that you believe your 2A rights gives you the right, your God-given right, as many will say, your God-given right to rise up against the government. If you do that, according to the same Constitution that you claim to love, you are committing treason. Levying war against the U.S. and or taking up arms to overthrow the government. That is set Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution, the Treason Clause. You probably didn't know that. Right-wingers don't know that because they've been lied to. They don't know why we have the 2A in the first place. They don't know, first of all, what militia are they part of? They don't know the 27 words. They don't know that the 2A was initially established because Virginia and North Carolina farm and slave owners were concerned about the slave uprising. They petitioned the government to be included in the militia. That's the history. You can believe what you want, but why would the founding fathers, because I've heard people talk about it, the founding fathers gave me the right to keep and bear. Why would those same founding fathers then include language about treason and rising up against the government? I can't help you with that. I just can't. And the President of the United States, just last night,
has become bigger.
Just last night, calling once again, it's important to play this.
Americans, I am filled with grief and anger at the heinous assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. Charlie inspired millions, and tonight, all who knew him and loved him are united in shock and horror. Charlie was a patriot who devoted his life to the cause of open debate and the country that he loved so much, the United States of America. He fought for liberty, democracy, justice, and the American people. He's a martyr for truth and freedom, and there's never been anyone who was so respected by youth. It's a long past time for all Americans and the media to confront the fact that violence and murder are the tragic consequence of demonizing those with whom you disagree day after day, year after year, in the most hateful and despicable way possible. For years, those on the radical left have compared wonderful Americans like Charlie to Nazis and the world's worst mass murderers and criminals. This kind of rhetoric is directly responsible for the terrorism that we're seeing in our country today.
You get the point. Like he literally does every single day. Like he does every single day. The Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Council, the FBI have been tracking this, the rise of hate crimes in our country for decades. For decades, right? And there's a line of demarcation. It's right around 2016. What happened in 2016? We know. We have seen the rise of militia groups. We have seen the rise of far-right extremists. It's not even close. The amount of political rhetoric, violent political rhetoric connected to actions. It's 85% plus coming from the right, and it's not even close. It's not even close. Somebody just posted this in the chat. Let me take a look. So this is something, and I forgot about this. This is something that Charlie Kirk says. Republicans usually tout a tough on crime stance, but right-wing commentator Charlie Kirk thinks a man who is set to be charged with attempted homicide should be allowed out on bail. Why has he not been bailed out, Kirk said Monday on his podcast, of the man who allegedly beat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband with Paul with a hammer. By the way, if some amazing patriot out there in San Francisco or the Bay Area wants to really be a midterm hero, someone should go and bail this guy out. But it's the left that promotes rhetoric, right? It's the left that does it. So, real quick, because there's other news. Looks like the consumer price index for all urban consumers items increased by 0.4% on a seasonally adjusted basis in August, after rising 0.2% in July. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today, over the last 12 months, the all items index increased to 2.9% before seasonal adjustment. So all this hateful rhetoric, all this, the world is just popping off, and our inflation's up. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Everybody, please keep tapping and sharing. I appreciate you all. Hey, Benny. How you doing, man?
Friendly neighbor from up north. How's it going, Steve?
It's going.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to come on first by issuing an apology to you and the community. In the midst of yesterday's events, I posted some things that were very inappropriate and very in poor taste, and I want to apologize. I'm sorry that I did that. That wasn't all right, and regardless of how we feel about certain people, regardless of how we feel about guys like Charlie, still what happened, no. Gun violence is bad. Straight up. It's bad.
MAGA, if you're watching, or men who are intimidated by addressing their feelings, what you just witnessed was what's called accountability. So Benny himself realizing that something he did was inappropriate, we caught it, we took it out. I knew you would come up and address that. That's what accountability looks like. So thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you can't say I'm too shocked with how the current news or spin cycle goes, as I like to call it. So, and then the other concern that I have is now, because look, MAGA they were already wanting to incite violence and hate and spread that problematic and terrible behavior, and this just gave them more of a green light to keep doing that, if not make it worse. So at the end of the day, gun violence is bad, and unfortunately marginalized communities are still going to be under attack and under fire, if not worse, because of what happened.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
And,
I agree. Yep.
I guess my question to you is that despite everything that happened, is it bad that I didn't celebrate what happened? Because I don't celebrate things like that, but at the same time I don't really feel anything. I'm not confused how to feel. I just don't feel anything. Is that bad?
I think that's common. No, I think that's common. Olive said that this morning in our chat about feeling numb, and that's a concern of mine, to be perfectly honest. I think the fact that we become desensitized to this is really problematic. Is really, really problematic.
Yeah.
And I think we have to check ourselves. I mean, we can draw some lines back to isolation from COVID, and we can talk about all kinds of things, but we know what we see, we know what we experience every single day. We know that we don't have freedoms in our country. We know that the world's on fire. We know all these kinds of things, and they're impactful. We're humans, right? We're humans. We all have emotions. We all have feelings. By the way, 988 is always available to anyone if you are in crisis. We've got resources in our Discord if you do need outreach. Worst comes to worst, message me, and we can talk it through if necessary. But just want to throw that out there. I think it's a normal reaction. I think it's a normal reaction. Like I was mentioning last night.
And if you're based in Canada for crisis resources, I have access to that because of my work. So sorry, I wanted to mention that.
There you go. No, thank you, Benny. Like I was talking with the mods last night about how I was nervous about today's show. I don't get nervous. I mean, it's not something. It's not like nerves, like stage fright, just anxiety, because I just believe that this is day one of what to expect. And I think it's going to get worse. I think it's going to get really bad. It's going to get really bad for marginalized communities because there are people on the right who are already fueled with hatred because they've been told to hate, already fueled with levels of hatred that they have no understanding as to why they hate certain communities. They're just told to. And it's just going to perpetuate. So I think being numb is a natural reaction because we're overwhelmed by it, but we can't allow ourselves to be desensitized to it. We just can't.
And I don't think it's fair that now not just his legacy, but you had mentioned that now the videos and pictures of that event are now they're out there, and that
Correct.
It's not fair to put that on his kids. They are not guilty of his sins or his crimes. Same with just his family in general. We shouldn't put that
Correct.
on him. That's not fair to them. They're blameless in this, right?
Correct.
So,
Correct.
I don't know. That's kind of where my head's been at, Steve. But I appreciate you giving me the space and the time. So,
yeah, man. As always, and thank you for being the man that you are, brother. I appreciate you.
Of course.
I'll talk to you later.
I hope
Peace.
everybody's safe. Keep your stick on the ice and elbows up, folks.
Thanks, Benny. Appreciate you. That's right. I mean, I think that's a normal feeling that we're all kind of feeling right now, right? We're sort of all sort of like numb. Like, how do we react? Because it's every single day. It's every single day, right? It's every single day. I mean, because words have consequences. They have consequences. They literally have consequences. And in his own words, Charlie Kirk said, hey, sacrifices may need to be made. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. I don't know how else to inform people that words have actions. And I'm not under threat. I can assimilate anywhere. I'm a white privileged man in America. I can go anywhere. It's always marginalized communities that are going to be under threat every single day under perfect conditions. So here we are. Hey, brother, how are you?
How's it going, Facts?
It's going, man. It's going.
Yeah. I am sure I'm pretty sure we all have the same opinions on this, or at least you and I specifically. I just came up here to mention how I had to check my own humanity yesterday. And even up to now, to be completely honest with you, Facts, I feel nothing specifically for him as a person, but I can still say that what happened to him shouldn't have.
Exactly.
And those two things can be true, guys. Like, there's a lot of people going, he was a terrible person, I feel nothing. I think kind of along the lines of what you were saying. I'm sad that people can say that with their full chests, because that's never a world we should live in. At the same time, I get it. One thing I cannot co-sign is anyone jumping for joy.
Agreed.
But more so when I saw the reaction from us on the left, when I saw the condemnation of the violence, when I saw the people who are now scared to walk outside and go to events and speak on their politics, no matter what side you're on, because of this, that's when I was like, this is so much worse than we think. This isn't something to praise. This isn't something that's a good thing. And I saw some really, really bad takes concerning even his family, where I heard people saying his children will be better off now. And I guess I just have one question to ask anyone who thinks that. Do you think that his children, upon hearing this story about knowing that their father is gone, do you think that's something that's going to make them go left, or do you think that's something that may radicalize them further into the stuff he believed? This is not good all around.
It's not. It's not. And something you said that really hit me, Hector. Just you had to check our own humanity, and I think that's kind of the point, right? I mean, I think the ideological differences, politics aside, ideological differences show up in situations like this. That we can sit up here, you and I can sit here and say that we absolutely vehemently disagree with everything that came out of his mouth, but he shouldn't have been assassinated for it. Period.
6,000%. And I have some choice words for that man. I find it not fruitful to sit here and talk about what I do think he deserved. I've hated him for some time. He's spent, you guys know how I feel about 1350. That's him.
Exactly.
And he stands on it to this, up until yesterday. So, yeah, I feel nothing for that aspect of it. However, that doesn't change the fact that, another thing, don't watch the footage. Please. No one watched that. I wish I didn't. I had to delete it from people who tried to share it in my server. Don't do it.
Agreed.
We all need to agree that no one deserves to go out like that.
Agreed.
So,
yeah,
that being said, yes.
Well, my concern, obviously, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir, but your community, like I said before, your community is under threat under the best conditions. So it's nothing really new. Just the threat gets increased, the rhetoric increases, the hate increases. We know that the Supreme Court now basically supports, profiling.
Yeah, saw that.
and advocates for it. So this is where we are. So my brother, be safe, man. That's all I can tell you. Be safe.
And on the note of being safe, I made this call in my server, and I'll do it everywhere I go now. Personally, while I would never ask anyone to suppress who they are and what they believe, I've made the personal decision, and I've asked other people to for a while, just kind of maybe not wear political merchandise outside. I have a lot of loud shirts. Y'all know me. I just think right now, the temperature's a little hot.
Agreed.
And obviously we're not inviting anything. We're just existing. We're just living. But we still have yet to really see what the response from the right's going to be. And if we think that they're these aggressive, all these things, then we need to act like it. So just may want to hold off on some of your shirts and hats and things. Just a suggestion.
I agree. I think that's really good advice. I mean, to protect, we have a term in our mod community, we call it protect your peace. And I think that's a great example of protecting your peace. You know where to find me, bro. I appreciate you as always. Be safe, okay?
Absolutely. You as well, man.
All right, later. It's a really good advice. I mean, do what you need to do. I think it's probably a good idea. Yeah, I think it's a very good idea. Okay, I do want to just kind of just remind people, for those of you who don't know, again, people who engage in politics and people who've been paying attention to these kinds of things for a long time, of which I have been one of those people, we have seen a rise of political violence. And I don't advocate, I condemn it. I condemn political violence. The problem that we now have in our country is the radicalization of people coming from the mouth of the president. Now, the right likes to use examples of political violence from the left. So I was curious. So let's talk about what that looks like, because we've got some clear examples, and we can talk about this. We can have an earnest conversation about it. So let's go back to 2016, because this is the era when it's been incredibly bad. In November of 2024, Donald Trump called Liz Cheney a radical war hawk and said that she should have, quote, guns trained on her face, implying that she'd understand war better that way. Milo Yiannopoulos advocating vigilantes take out journalists. I can't wait for vigilante squads to start firing down journalists on sight. Jack Posobiec, end of democracy, overthrow it completely. In February 2024 at CPAC, Jack Posobiec sat on stage and said, "We are here to overthrow it completely. Get out of our way." He praised the J6 Capitol attack. Paul Gosar circulated violent anime depiction of Representative Ocasio-Cortez being unalived. Charlie Kirk, Civil War imagery, said he gets 500 emails a minute calling for a CW. And he wrote about buses of patriots to D.C. to fight and do whatever it takes for this president. At September 2020 presidential debate, when asked to condemn YT supremacists and far-right marchers, Donald Trump said to the Proud Boys, "Stand back and stand by." Those are political figures. Those are prominent right-wing voices who have massive platforms. And the right thinks that the violent rhetoric is coming from the left. There is no bigger bully pulpit in the world than the President of the United States, the most well-known figure on planet Earth. And our president decided last night not to try to cool the temperatures, not to try to bring things down, to lower the temperature, Instead, he said, nope, he just doubled down again. Radical left-wing extremists, enemies from within, crazed, you name it. He said everything about the left. So I was curious about some of the prominent left-wing responses. We've got, I think you remember Kathy Griffin. Kathy Griffin, in 2017, posted a photo with a prop meant to look like Donald Trump's head. She later apologized, but the image was widely condemned, including by Democrats, as crossing into violent political imagery. Again, condemned by Democrats. Madonna at the Women's March shortly after Trump's inauguration in 2017. Yes, I'm angry. Quote, yes, I'm angry. Yes, I have thought an awful lot about boom-booing the White House. She admittedly added she wouldn't do it, but the statement drew condemnation from across the spectrum, including from prominent Democrats. Johnny Depp, when was the last time an actor took out a president? 2017. Snoop Dogg on firearm imagery towards Trump in his video of Lavender. Robert De Niro, I'd like to punch him in the face. Actors. You can criticize what they said, but in most cases, Democrats came out and condemned what they said. Have you heard Republicans condemn anything that their leaders have said? Has any Republican stepped up today and said what Donald Trump said last night was inappropriate at a time like this? Any of them? Has anybody pushed back against some of the things, any Republican pushed back against the things that Charlie Kirk has said? Jack Posobiec? Milo? Any of them? So you can miss me with your bullshit. It's not both sides. You've been told it is. You have been told that it's both sides. It's not. Political violence, proving again that we are not free. People should not lose their lives over their beliefs, their political ideology, what they say in public. They should not. I'll remind people of a few other incidences. Donald Trump, Second Amendment people in 2016 suggested the firearm supporters could, quote, do something if Clinton appointed judges. Steve Bannon, that on Heads on Pikes in 2020 called for executing Fauci and FBI Director Wray. Platforms removed the video and Twitter banned his accounts. I'm going to do this real quick. F1 in the chat, please.
TikTok. It is our intention during these live broadcasts to only provide fact-based information to the absolute best of our ability. We strive to never spread misinformation or to platform those that do. Opinions of our guests or commenters are theirs and theirs alone and do not reflect those of the host. Hate speech is not allowed, and we are diligent about policing it. This platform is for educational purposes only.
Steve Bannon, again, calling for the unaliving of Fauci and FBI director. Platforms were removed and the video and Twitter banned his account. Gosar, again, the violent anime about AOC. Trump, stand back and stand by, Proud Boys. The group embraced it. They sold T-shirts. They made money off of that statement. MTG endorsing unalivings. CNN Review found that she expressed support for violent protests against Democrats. GOP leaders called them disturbing. Trump, warning of death and destruction if charged in 2023. True Social post flagged by prosecutors and widely reported. The Whitmer kidnapping in 2020 came months after Liberate Michigan tweets amid the Stand Back and Stand By rally. DOJ filings detail the conspiracy. Gretchen Whitmer and Whitmer and press coverage tied the climate of rhetoric to the plot. Courts later upheld key convictions this year alone. J6 defendants citing Trump. Analysis of charging documents and court records show hundreds of defendants explicitly referenced Trump's call. Be there, will be wild, and his rhetoric. An amicus brief and reporting summarize the pattern. Proud Boys pathway. After Stand Back and Stand By, Proud Boys leaders amplified the phrase. Prosecutors later invoked it at trial in securing seditious conspiracy convictions. Don't tell me it's both sides. It's not. It's not even close. It's not even close. People on the right celebrating George Floyd's death. People on the right celebrating brown-skinned people being dragged off the street, thrown into the back of ICE vehicles, unmarked cars, and disappeared. Don't tell me it's both sides. It's not. And you see, I think what we're witnessing right now, at least how it feels to me, like I said, I'm all over the map today. What it feels to me is that here we are, right? People on the left, Hector, myself, Benny, other people saying that Charlie Kirk, we disagree vehemently with everything he has to say. but he doesn't deserve to lose his life over it. Right-wing MAGA, who are in my chat every single day. Should I lose my life over what I say and what I feel and what I believe? Should I? I get dozens of unaliving threats every single week. Dozens of them. Some of them so graphic I can't even repeat them. Do I deserve that? Do I? Do I deserve that for speaking my mind? Many of you think I do. Many of you think that I do. So therefore, if we use your logic, doesn't Charlie Kirk deserve what he got then? See, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think that at all. I don't think so at all. And that is a fundamental difference between not political parties, but ideological beliefs. I would like to remind people of a few things because of what has happened in response to this, and how people in prominent figures within the Democratic Party have responded to this. Because there are names that you'll know, and names that you maybe don't know. But let me give you I was curious, so I kind of found some quotes from people that you would know. Let me get that for you here. Hang on a second. Joe Biden. So we heard Trump's words. Not an opportunity to unite, not an opportunity to say political violence under no conditions is acceptable. We need to heal as a nation. An opportunity missed. Great moments come from great opportunities. Joe Biden last night. There is no place in our country for this kind of violence. It must end now. He offered prayers for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. Barack Obama. We don't yet know what motivated the person who shot and killed Charlie Kirk, but this kind of despicable violence has no place in our democracy. Kamala Harris. I am deeply disturbed by the shooting in Utah. Doug and I send our prayers to Charlie Kirk and his family. Let me be clear. Political violence has no place in America. I condemn this act, and we all must work together to ensure this does not lead to any more violence. Hakeem Jeffries. Political violence is never acceptable. My thoughts and prayers are with Charlie Kirk and his family. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He invoked his family's history of political violence, his father's assassination, and his family's. Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, who was part of a plot to kidnap her, called for collective opposition to all forms of political violence. Josh Shapiro, a right-wing plot to take him out. We must speak with moral clarity. This growing type of unconscionable violence cannot be allowed in our society. Roy Cooper, governor of North Carolina. Violence must have no place in our country. I am praying for Charlie Kirk's family and loved ones. Other figures who've experienced political violence. Gabby Giffords joined in calling for rejection of political violence in political discourse. Gabby took one to the head. Nancy Pelosi, she has condemned the attack and joined the broad chorus of voices calling for civility. Her husband was beaten with a hammer by a right-wing lunatic. Where's the outrage? Those are prominent political voices who have influence. Where is the unity from the right? Bipartisan condemnation? Why don't we have it? In that speech, Mr. Trump said, the great and even legendary Charlie Kirk, the heart of youth in the United States of America, better than anyone, expressed Kirk was loved and admired by all, especially me, and issued a national proclamation ordering flags to fly at half staff. J.D. Vance posted a brief prayer, eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord. Speaker of the House Mike Johnson said, a great heartbreak. He described Kirk as one of the strongest conservative voices, held a moment of silence on the floor of the House. John Thune expressed grief and underscored the need to reject political violence. He's probably the only one. fundamental difference. And here it is. It's a fundamental difference from an ideological perspective. Overwhelming incidences of political violence, and it's not even close. And you want to know who the majority of the perpetrators are who commit political violence? Anybody want to take a guess? White men. So enraged by diversity. So enraged by women having stronger voices in society. So enraged by same-sex couples having the right to marry. So enraged by the queer community expressing themselves, being themselves, living their true lives. So enraged and so threatened by that they are committing over 90% of crimes connected to politics. Because of their own mediocrity. How's everybody doing? Doing all right? Okay. I want to get into the numbers a little bit because I think it's really important that we have this conversation because this has been tracked for a very, very, very long time. I've given you numerous examples. I've given you numerous examples, and we haven't even scratched the surface. Now, if the right wants to say that the left is promoting rhetoric, then give me examples, and they will point to Maxine Waters. Okay, fair criticism. What did it lead to, though? What did it lead to? We can connect the dots from political rhetoric from the right to action. The Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping is a perfect example. The group behind it was celebrating the stand back and stand by, the liberate movement. We can see it. We can draw direct comparisons. Kathy Griffin, a comedian. Robert De Niro, an actor, wants to punch Trump in the throat. Doesn't he have free speech to do that? Did that lead to anything? Did that lead to anything? No, it did not. There are no examples coming from the left. There are none. There are none. Not when you compare what it exactly is that we're talking about. Thank you, Purple. I appreciate you. Studies done by the Department of Homeland Security, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, consistently find that actual violent acts calling for organized political violence have been far more frequent on the right. Left-leaning violent rhetoric is usually symbolic, celebrity-driven, and one-offs. Punch him in. Right-leaning violent rhetoric more often comes from elected officials and media figures, is repeated and or sustained, and is framed as patriotic duty or self-defense, which research shows is more likely to spur real-world violence. There's little evidence of organized left-wing paramilitary or terror plots in the U.S. in 2016, whereas right-wing extremist groups, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, Boogaloo Boys, etc., have been linked to dozens of plots and attacks. It's not coincidence. It's not coincidence when you hear the bully pulpit, when you hear the president just last night, without any evidence, and Nancy Mace, without any evidence, immediately blaming the left. For what? You all say on the right, it's not the gun or it's whatever else, it's the individual. So you want to suddenly cast aspersions on everyone. We have evidence. We have data that's been collected for decades. Again, from the Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Council, the FBI, CDC, CSIS, all of it says the same thing. Says the exact same thing. The exact same thing. Major nonpartisan research organizations, including the Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, the FBI, Department of Homeland Security, the ADL, and the Southern Poverty Law Council. Most U.S. extremist plots and attacks since 2016 have come from far right-wing actors. Right-wing violence is more lethal, while left-wing incidents are fewer and usually less deadly, according to the CSIS, according to the Department of Homeland DHS, according to the FBI, 75% of all domestic terrorist plots and attacks are perpetrated by right-wingers. 75%. Is all that data wrong? Is all that fake too? Is all that fake? We can talk about left-wing stuff. We can talk about James Hodgkinson, who was the who shot Steve Scalise at the baseball game in 2017. We can talk about that. We can talk about Michael Reinhold, killing of a right-wing protester in 2020. We can talk about that. Sure. "75% of political-oriented violence comes from the right. And 95% of that perpetrated by white men." Because why? You're under threat. From whom? From whom? Who are you under threat from? You've been at the pinnacle of power since the day our country was founded. And you are so afraid of losing your place on the ladder that you act out. And you're believing the lies that are being told to you, especially now, by your right-wing echo chambers. And you're believing it. You'll believe them. You'll believe the people who are perpetuating the hatred to get you more and more and more and more angry instead of what the actual data says. Instead of what the actual truth tells us. 75% of plots and or attacks related to political violence as captured by the CSIS, the Anti-Defamation League, the FBI, and the Southern Poverty Law Council. They all say the same thing. Are they all wrong? Across nearly all data sets, 90% of individuals who commit politically motivated violence or extremist killings are male. 85% of them identify as right-wing. The CDC, the CSIS, the Anti-Defamation League, and I'll post this in the chat. Just give me some time. I'm still waking up. The Anti-Defamation League, the Southern Poverty Law Council, they all say the same thing. Every one of them. It is all men until it's no men. It is all white people until it's no white people. Therefore, it is all white men until it's no white man. It's nothing new. It's the same statistics. In the midst, prior to him getting shot yesterday, the conversation that he was having with someone from the audience was about trans mass shooters. What, been 4 or 5 total in the last 10 years of the hundreds that we've had in our country? And it's perpetuated by the president. It's perpetuated by elected officials, and they don't even know the details yet. Let's see. Is there anything that we need to know? I'm just checking in. Okay. Okay. Hey, Seth. How you doing, man?
Hey, Facts. Good morning to you.
Morning,
even
man.
though it just doesn't feel like it, right?
Yeah, numb. I think we're all just kind of numb. What?
Dude, like, I know whoever it is isn't listening, but you're bringing the whirlwind on us, man. There's going to be a response. There's going to be revenge. It was incredibly irresponsible to do what he did. and think that somehow there's not going to be blowback. I just, because we categorically renounce all forms of political violence. We advocate for common sense gun reform. We advocate for therapy. We advocate for getting your mental health right. Mm-hmm. That's what we stand for. And when someone does something like this, you take back so much progress. You take back all these steps forward that we are trying to take. And I just wonder if that person thought of that. I'm sad, I'm disgusted, I'm disappointed. Did Charlie Kirk said that a few pew deaths a year is worth it to keep the Second Amendment? Sure did.
He sure did.
Hella ironic. Hella ironic. We all know what the man stood for. And to the very damn end, like you said, was talking about trans shooters and, pew-pewers and gang pew-pewers.
Correct.
To the very end.
Correct.
That's who he was, and that's what he was talking about. Fully understanding and fully knowing the facts that you've just displayed for us. White male shooters.
Correct.
Majority right-wing
overwhelming majority.
Assaulters.
Overwhelming majority.
Yeah. Like the numbers aren't, like you said, they're not even close. It's not even close. We know where it's coming from.
Correct.
But this things like this give them reasons, and they're just looking for reasons, y'all. They're looking for a reason. They're searching for a reason. We haven't been giving them any reasons. And now you got Jesse Walters on Fox News talking about they're at war with us.
Correct.
Completely ignoring the cold bodies that are sitting in Minnesota right now. Correct. Actual politicians who were attacked at their home.
Correct.
They're gone. One of their spouses is gone. Did someone show up at Charlie Kirk's house and eliminate his entire family? No. But they want to, but they want to be disingenuous and act like this hasn't been happening on their side at a large level. And so
all that is true, Seth. All that is true. All that is true. But he again, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I vehemently disagree with everything he has to stand for, but he does not deserve to be assassinated for his political beliefs.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Yep.
I mean, this walks back progress. This ruins our message. And again, there's going to be blowback. They're going to want revenge, and they were searching for a reason, and now someone has given them that reason. They've given them their martyr. And I'll land my plan with this. Like, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you were thinking, but you did not clearly think through the damage that will ensue.
Right, and we don't even know though. So we don't even want to make any assumptions about what their ideology is.
I hope not.
We have no idea. We have no idea. We have no idea.
Because we have super fans, right?
Yeah.
Super fans have committed violence against celebrities multiple times.
Correct.
There's no doubt about
it.
I mean, the guys who went after Trump, I mean, their political ideology was confusing as hell.
Correct. Yep.
So
correct. Again, we have to make sure we have no idea, which is part of the dangerous rhetoric coming from the White House, from Nancy Mace and other elected officials on the Republican side, immediately coming to conclusions. And we're not going to do that. We're just not going to do that. I appreciate you jumping in today, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you, buddy.
All right, see ya. Again, friends, we have to be careful. We cannot make assumptions. We cannot make assumptions. So I want to make sure that we are just not doing that, because that's going to feed into it. Let's not make any assumptions. We have no idea. We have absolutely no idea. I'm reminded of when Monica Seles, the tennis player, was stabbed by a super fan. Okay, we've got these numerous examples, right, of oftentimes of stalkers who are super fans. We're not gonna do that. Okay, we're not gonna make assumptions. Let's focus on what we know. We know that Charlie Kirk was assassinated at one of his college campus rallies. We know that. We don't know who the perpetrator is. We're not gonna lead into the conspiracies. It is my belief, and I think most people would agree. Most people would agree that no one should be taken out for their political speech. That's the whole point. And I want to be very careful about going too far down any particular road. So let's just be mindful of that, friends. Okay. Hey, JW, how you doing, man?
Good morning, Steve. Unwell at the moment. Just the temperature is pretty disgusting. I want to, first of all, thank you, because I think you're doing an incredible job this morning, maintaining composure with the entire political atmosphere. But
appreciate it.
The reason that I requested is because I was live streaming yesterday while we were waiting to hear about Charlie Kirk's condition.
Right.
People were reacting, and people have strange reactions to death. I understand that. The celebration is what upset me, because when I was waiting to hear for his condition, I was hopeful that this person was going to survive. And let me tell you why. You've seen me spam in the chat with 2 words, MAGA optics. I've said it a few times.
Saw that.
I was hopeful that this person was going to pull through, because I have seen, and we have evidence of the manipulative, downright Machiavellian strategy that MAGA Republicans have been using. And when Donald Trump announced his unalivement, my jaw dropped. How many times do we have a president announce somebody's passing? You know what I mean?
They don't.
This person made it a point to be sure he was the one to share that message.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one side celebrating this occurrence, in my humble opinion, and it's the right. The right is going to celebrate this. And to quote one of my favorite lines from Game of Thrones, chaos is a ladder. Right? And these people are, their whole campaign strategy is designed in this way to capitalize. When I ever saw the Republican National Convention this last time around, when Donald Trump went on for 2 hours about what happened to him and how we heard about that attempt for months. And then I heard about what's happening with Charlie Kirk. It was dangerously similar.
Agreed.
So please stop celebrating this. This is, from a political perspective, this is a very serious moment in our nation's history.
I completely agree.
I want people to think about that. And that's really all I have to share, man. I appreciate what you're doing, as always. I appreciate your patience, and I'll be here listening and supporting. So I appreciate.
For those of you who don't follow JW, I've come to really respect JW, because he stands there every day and has the background behind him, and it's all men until it's no men, and he fights the fight and he calls it out, and we need more people like you, brother. So if you don't follow JW, friends, please follow him. I appreciate you, bud, for being here. Thanks a lot. Thanks for jumping in today. You're a good man. You got it, buddy. I get it, right? I think I caught some of his live yesterday about how would there have been, how do I want to say this? If he had survived, would there have been a change in tune? I don't know. Probably not. Because what we've seen is the most innocent amongst us, our kids, being gunned down in schools. And that didn't move the needle at all. Not at all. In fact, it's almost gotten worse because more and more people who don't seem to care about that say that we should just give more guns, more firearms to people, more. I'll remind you that Utah has some of the most lax firearm laws in our country. That if you are 21 and you can purchase and you can carry everywhere, elementary schools, daycare centers, high schools, college campuses, everywhere. So the good guy with a pew-pew. You know, again, a lot of people are saying, and please, friends, be careful about what we share. I don't want conspiracy theories spread. There's 1,600 people in here. And I just don't want people to chase down a conspiracy. Focus on what we know. And that's it. What we know. We don't need to break the news. We don't. Let's get it right. I would rather be last and right than first and wrong. That's responsible journalism. That's what I would ask you guys to do. It's not that we care about racists, Lulu. It's not the point. It's not the point. The point is, we're not free. Whether we agree or disagree, we as citizens of this country have the right to express ourselves, to pray to who we want or not to want, to love who we want, to petition our government, to peacefully assemble, and to express ourselves through free speech. Anybody then, under these conditions, should be subjected to assassination because of what their speech is. I just disagree. I just disagree. And I think most people by and large agree with that. I think the radicalized right won't go out and publicly and say it. That's what I'm talking about. November Moon. Again, we're not going to be talking about November Moon mods, please address that. Thank you. You don't need to put all caps. You don't need to call attention to yourself. Again, there's conspiracy theories all over the place. We've got to stop doing it. Let's please stop. What we are dealing with collectively is that our country is violent. Our country is fueled by the gun culture. Okay? Violent. There's people in our country that are so desperately afraid of brown people and women and the LGBTQI community and queer folk and everybody else. They are so incredibly afraid of the white people, are so incredibly afraid of losing their place on the ladder that they are willing to let their children be sacrificed. That is the reality. That is the reality. And if we want change in our country, if we want it, and I'm starting to think that maybe the majority of people don't. I don't know. We talk in this space all the time about how apathy is where democracies go to die. That's what we have that conversation on the daily. Thank you, Tony. I've had a lot of people reach out to me saying, and I still struggle with this, that, Facts, you're an influencer, you got to stop. I don't see myself that way. And maybe I should. I don't know. Maybe I should. But I'm a white man in America. I can go anywhere. I'm tattooed. I ride a motorcycle. I've got firearms. I used to hunt when I was a kid. I love to fish. I'm a gearhead. I get grease in my fingernails working on my motorcycle when I'm not swearing at it. I can assimilate anywhere. I'm safe. I appreciate your concern. But people, say this again, marginalized communities under perfect conditions in our country are always under threat. I'll say it again. Marginalized people in our country under perfect conditions are under threat. It's going to get bad for those communities. It's going to get really bad because think about the crime prevention task force in American cities. What cities are they going to? And what are they identifying? Cleaning up the cities? We know what they mean. It's just going to get worse. Everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Appreciate y'all very much. Want to support the channel? Add Factsstillmatter. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Good morning, Ray. How are you? Ray, are you there? Hey, Ray, are you there? I guess not. Okay. We're trying to navigate the guest box today, folks. We just want to make sure that we're keeping the rhetoric under control if we can. Do the best we can. Hey, Lee, how are you today? Lee, are you there?
Oh.
Hey, Lee. Did you have something you wanted to say?
I didn't know I requested. Sorry about that.
All right. It's no problem. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you.
Thanks.
I can't express enough that, how do I want to say this? We should have anticipated this. I mean, we should have anticipated it. We should have anticipated this happening. And the issue that we have now is that the response is predictable. The response to this, we've seen it this morning, just for people chirping in the chat. The response is predictable. That the people who are the ones that are the most violently rhetorical, the right, overwhelmingly so. We've gone through the stats this morning. I don't care if you don't believe me. Most of you don't. Most of the MAGA trolls that are in here every day don't believe me anyway. It's not my job. I've done the best I could. Our community has done the best we could to try to educate. It's up to you. Those are the same people saying that they're going to respond with violence. You've already been responding with violence. What have you been responding to? Because people want to love each other? Because people want to be recognized? Because people want to just exist? Seriously. For what? Because, again, you have been conditioned to hate people. The overwhelming majority of the data tells us that the people are committed not only political crimes, not only the political violence, but violence in general. It's white men. It is white men. Why do I have blood in my hands? Dan, why do I have blood in my hands? Why? Why, Dan? Why do I have blood in my hands? Answer the question. Why? Am I not American? Do I not have a right to express my opinions? Do I not have a right to share my views? Was Charlie Kirk sharing his views? Do I deserve the same fate? Is that what you're implying? You see? You see what I'm talking about? The 1,700 people in here, the overwhelming majority of people in here this morning, believe what I said. That we vehemently disagree with everything he had to say. But he didn't deserve to lose his life because of it. You can't call yourself an American, Dan, if you don't believe in the freedom of speech. You can't. You can't call yourself a patriot. You can't. You can't say you're a constitutionalist if you believe that my speech should be suppressed. It's the right. It's always been the right. It's always been conservatives. It's always been that way. Where is your uproar when children are being massacred in schools? Where is it? Where is it? So you're going to go 10 toes down in support of someone who promotes the hate that Charlie Kirk did? Saying he would question a black pilot? Want to make sure he had the best pilot? Going after CRT? You guys don't even know what it is. Calling the DEI movement the destruction of America? Are you afraid of diversity? Are you afraid of equity? Are you afraid of inclusion? Who told you to be afraid of it? People like Dan are the problem. You benefit from DEI because you're feeble and weak and mediocre. And your response is always violence. Because that's what the patriarchy tells you. That you can only respond in public with anger or lust. And here you are, showing us who you are, showing your full ass. You're the problem. I'm not. I don't care if you like me. Don't give a shit. Don't give a shit. It's a tough day because this is day one, in my opinion. I'm the problem. Okay. Hey, Drew, I'm the problem, in case you didn't know.
Oh, we knew you were the problem, Steve.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm struggling today, buddy. It was yesterday was the longest year ever. I did see that video, and my first thought when seeing that video was, this is a grown man. What does it do to a child?
Yeah.
But the videos that really impacted me more, Steve, and I don't know if people have seen these as much, but the videos that got me more emotional than seeing that was the rest of the crowd. No matter what I think of their political views or whatever, they were just there. And to see the chaos, see the chaos that ensued, to see people running, people carrying children out of there. I mean, I don't know if you follow Parker at all. He posted a very raw video.
I saw
shortly.
It. Yeah, a couple of it.
Yeah, I think I shared it with you actually too. But I mean, it's a young man who does. Yes, he comes up and does this every day, and I agree with sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But what he posted was just pure raw human emotion, and you could just tell his heart was beating a million miles a minute. And what he had just seen, what he had just been a part of, and he's one of millions. And that's the thing that people don't think about is we think, okay, well, there was only 2 victims, or there was 10, or there was 30. There's thousands of people that emanate from that. The people who saw what was there, who were in the area, who were in the neighborhood, who were in the city. I mean, it's not just the folks that are hit that are impacted by this. It's every single one of us. And I think people forget about that. That's what those videos really brought home to me. It's like, is this who we want to be? Like, we want this happening on the regular. I mean, we don't have videos of what happened in that school in Colorado. I'm sure it was just as bad, if not worse. It's
Drew. I think it's not about whether or not we want to be. This is who we are. I think we have to accept it. This is who we are as a country. Well, this is what's happened. This is who we are.
Yesterday, somebody brought. I mean, I hadn't heard about this. I work from home, and I was busy working, and actually, my boss was the one who mentioned, this whole thing happening, and I guess my response was less than empathetic for them. I wasn't like, I just said, well, this is who we are, pretty much. I mean, that was pretty much my response, because I'm not numb to it. I mean, it kills me inside every time this happens, but my response was just like, well, what do we expect? I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, what do we expect? I mean, this is who we are. And we have a couple red pills that I work with that are just, and it was just as you would expect. It would be like being one of Brett's lives and just the same talking points. So, well, people get stabbed in other countries and this happens and there's more crime and people, it's not the gun. I just wanted to throw up. I was so angry. I was so, and I ended up just not saying anything because it was just hearing it over and over again. Well, we can't do anything about it. And I'm just like, and I actually posted that Onion article in our chat, the one that says nothing we can do, says only country where this happens regularly.
Right.
And I did. I mean, there's one guy that I work with that, to his credit, recently has started speaking out against Trump. But I kind of lost it on him a little yesterday because he's like, he thinks he's righteous now because now he speaks out against Trump. but he was also one of the people that was defending guns or pew-pews, excuse me, I didn't mean to use that word, pew-pews in the chat. I mean, and I kind of went off and I'm like, listen, man, one of your best friends has a trans son. And you voted against that. You've known him for 10 years and you voted against that. I'm like, man, because, I'm kind of where you are right now. It's like, I just don't have any patience left for it. You voted selfishly. You didn't think about anybody else. And now you want credit because all of a sudden your eyes are open.
Correct.
Hey, Steve, I know. I just hope this starts getting better, buddy.
I know. I think it's going to get worse before it does.
It's going to get a lot worse. Yeah.
Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you as always.
Thanks for doing what you do, buddy.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, like I've said, and I've maybe made this suggestion to people about how it's not even about Trump anymore. It's about the people that still support this endeavor. We know that the newly elected Democrat in the House signed the discharge petition. That's 217 names. We need one person, one Republican, one to show your value, to show your worth, to show us who you are. I'm going to do this. Actually, I'm going to bring Anachronista up, so maybe you can do. I need a little break. You need the keys. You have the keys to the car. I'll be right back.
My pleasure. Take all the time you need. So I wanted to say something today around, I see a lot of mixed comments in chat about how we shouldn't feel sad about him passing. I don't feel sad that he passed. I feel sad for his children. I feel sad for his wife. So I think that we can... Oh, thank you, Puff. I think that we can recognize that he had a family and people that cared about him, whilst also being aware of the harm that his rhetoric caused. And my concern is that this will escalate and that it will breed more danger, and we don't want that. So I suggest that people just take the time to be aware of your surroundings right now and make sure that you are safe. But know that whilst this happens a lot, it isn't the norm. We still haven't normalized this. It is still jarring. It is still painful. And we did have a chat in the mod chat about how to approach this topic today. And none of us were completely sure on the best way to go about things because we don't want to strengthen that divide. We want to try and find some common ground that we can, if not unify, because you don't break bread with them, the fash, but there are many people who are just everyday people who don't have extreme views but are caught up in all of this. And what we don't want is for anybody to be harmed. Anybody.
I know. You're right. Thank you for being my wingman for a few minutes there. I appreciate you for jumping in today.
It's my pleasure.
Be safe. Okay. Talk to you soon.
Stay safe, Steve.
All right. It's funny. I go back and forth on this thing because I'm angry for just continued inaction to keep the most vulnerable amongst us safe in schools, and we get no movement at all. And we're not going to get movement for this. There's not going to be any legislation. There's not going to be anything done. There's not going to be changes to the gun laws in Utah or anywhere else. It's not. This is who we are. This is just who we are as a nation. I think people need to accept it. We are a violent lot of people. 350 million people here. Again, on the collective. Because think about how we respond to these situations. It's the double down mindset, right? In the right-wing world, they respond to incidences of violence with more violence. They respond to the fact that the number one cause of death in our country for children ages 1 to 18 is firearms. They respond with more firearms. They concern themselves with rhetoric about language connected to political violence, and they respond with more rhetoric and language connected to political violence. We don't respond the way that we should. We don't respond the way you would expect a civilized nation to respond. They just doesn't happen. Again, I want to read this to you guys again because it's incredibly important. In Utah, it is legal for an individual 21 years of age or older with a valid Utah concealed firearm permit or Utah temporary concealed permit to carry a firearm on or about the premises of a public or private elementary school or secondary school as described in 76-11-205. On or about the premises of an institution of higher education as described in 76-11-205.5, or on or about the premises of a daycare as described in 76-11-206. That's who we are. And people celebrate it. In one of the most gun-friendly states in our country, a conservative voice who talks about you might have to make sacrifices to defend those freedoms was sacrificed. Defending those freedoms? How about someone with that level of power and that level of influence, because he had a lot of it, no doubt about it, using that to say, we have a gun issue in our country. We have a river of violence that runs through all of us. We've got to address it. I'm calling on conservatives to talk about responsible firearm legislation. I'm calling on conservatives. What an opportunity. He had to do it. And he didn't. He chose hate. He chose rhetoric. He chose attacking marginalized communities, defending hateful rhetoric, defending book bans, defending denying the existence of trans people, trying to equate the 4 or 5 shooters that identified as trans as being the problem, when the overwhelming majority of acts of violence from the mass shooter perspective, cis, white, hetero men. You're right. He chose that path. He chose it. He made millions of dollars on it. Influenced the minds of millions of young, impressionable, smooth-brained, no wrinkles yet, young, white, cis, hetero men. Propagating his belief that women are less than. He's got young kids. Had. Young girl, I think 3 and 1. How are they raised in their house? Boy raised to be the dominant one? Daughter raised to be submissive? Because that's what he believes. He went to all these colleges because he saw an opportunity. I am going to manipulate the minds and I'm going to red pill the fuck out of these people. Because he believes this shit and he wanted more people to believe it too. And this is what you get. When you light a match in a room filled with fuel, it's going to explode. And it exploded yesterday. And it caught him. It caught him. Chronicles, good morning. How are you today?
I don't know. This is rough. Okay, I have a question, and I'm a little nervous asking it, but sorry, my cat's trying to talk to you too. I watch all of you guys every day. You, Dean, Parker, Good Trouble.
Thank you.
And I learned so much from y'all, and I appreciate y'all so much. I wonder why, and I know that this is a subject, what happened yesterday, has to be talked about to exhaustion. We have to, because this is, no matter how we feel about what happened, it has to be talked about. But one of the biggest things that we've talked about through all of this is the files getting buried under something. And in the last few days since this has happened, nobody has mentioned the files during a live. Is this
Oh, I have.
Have you?
I have.
Okay.
Oh yeah, yesterday.
Well,
I'm not going to stop talking about it.
Okay, I didn't see you yesterday except for in the morning before everything happened. And so I live stream too. I live stream a little bit differently than y'all do. I don't have as big of a platform, obviously, so I'm a little bit freer to say things that maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I know where you're going, and I understand that. I respect that. I don't want to go there. I think that would be the ultimate conspiracy. That, and again, I'm just throwing this out there as a potential of what people might be thinking now, that this is used to distract. I know you're not implying that, but I think a lot of people are. So yeah, we will continue to talk about it. Like I just mentioned, the newest member of Congress, a Democrat who won the special election in Virginia, just signed the petition. That means one Republican needs to sign it, and we get all the files. Just one. Just one Republican.
Okay, that's what you were talking about. I swiped out and back in for a minute. And yeah, and that's why I was scared to bring it up, is because I'm not bringing it up in a way of conspiracy theory. I'm bringing it up in a way of how things happen. Something major comes up and then things get forgotten. And that's all. Not saying that it's being done intentionally or anything like that. And I'm not in every single person's live every second that they're live. I just haven't heard anyone mention anything yet. So that's why it was like, okay. We're not forgetting, right?
No, definitely not forgetting. I appreciate that, though. Thank you for bringing that up today, Chronic. I appreciate you very much for being here. You have a good day. Be safe out there, okay? You got it.
Right.
Someone accused me of lying that Charlie Kirk has never said disparaging things about women. Okay. He said that young women are often taught to put their careers first instead of thinking about settling down or having children, and he has pushed back against that idea. For example, having children is more important than having a good career. He suggested that younger women should not get married earlier and begin having children earlier, or at least not delay too much because chances drop with age. Kirk has repeatedly promoted a biblical or conservative model of gender masculinity, femininity. In romantic relationships, he has said a woman's partner should be a protector and a leader. He's made statements claiming that birth control has negative effects on women, making women bitter or angry, and suggested it might be politically used by some to align women with certain parties. He has said that there are only two genders, that gender fluidity or transgender identities are lies, and opposed trans-affirming care. He's made controversial remarks about women over 30, suggesting that by age, their attractiveness, their marriage readiness, and their dating prospects decline. So those are just a few things. You probably didn't know that, though. Or, you know what I think is worse? You probably agree. You probably agree with that. And that's what's worse. That's what's worse. You don't think he said anything disparaging about women because you don't think those things are disparaging about women. I do. I really do. I really do. How women should dress, that they decline with age, telling women that they should choose their family over their career. You probably agree. You probably agree. Patriot, I'm not trying to get famous off of anybody's death, but I notice you're in here every day, so I appreciate your support. Thanks. Yeah. He thinks women are less than. He doesn't think the trans community should exist. Don't forget, he's the same guy that was shown a picture of a fetus and said it was a human when it was a dolphin. Okay? He's made millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars spewing this stuff. But it was effective, and he had a right to do it. And I respect his right to free speech. Should not have lost his life because of it. I disagree vehemently. I can't say that enough. But to say that he's never said anything disparaging about women, you don't think those things are disparaging. You just don't. I do. That's why you're part of the problem. Everybody, please keep tabbing. I appreciate y'all very, very much. Purple, how are you?
I'm okay, Steve. It's Heather.
Hey, that's right. I forget. Hi, Heather.
That's okay. I hate that happened. It's so frustrating because I feel like no one knows who I am, which is fair.
It's okay. I won't forget now.
Okay. So I actually wrote some stuff down because I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I wanted to kind of condense it more for everybody so it makes more sense. Okay. So I want to make it very clear that I don't condone any type of violence, especially something so gruesome, because I did also have those thoughts I just immediately saw it happening to a child. What I saw with him didn't really give me any type of emotion. And I also want to validate that for other people as well, that it's okay that you didn't necessarily feel anything for that person.
Mm-hmm.
What's not okay is to not then feel something for the people who were there to witness it, for his children who were there to witness it, his wife who was there. We have to have empathy for them because they didn't deserve that. Especially all the innocent people, his children are innocent. Those people who were there to debate were innocent. And it's okay to feel that you don't have any spoons left to give to Charlie. And it's okay to not feel anything about Charlie. And that doesn't make you a bad person, because I've been thinking about this and I'm like, am I a bad person that I don't care that he has passed? Am I a bad person? Am I void of empathy? And then I just realized that no, I don't have empathy for someone who spewed as much hate and violence as he did. We cannot forget that Charlie Kirk has been a part of violence towards marginalized communities and is an active participant in working to take women's rights away.
Mm-hmm.
That has caused 66 women a day to carry their rapist baby. I think that's right. I think that's the right amount. I might be wrong. Don't quote me on that statistic. I'm pretty sure it's 66 women a day, their rapist baby to term. But even if it was one woman a day, that's too many. Okay. That is so much harm that he has caused. And it's okay to think that, we're not bad people for not feeling bad for him. But Correct. We have to still extend our empathy to the others involved and to realize that this is not going to likely work out in any sort of positive way. Obviously, we don't know that, but it's never positive when somebody is unalived in that way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree for the most part with what you're saying, but keep in mind, he also said that empathy was a made-up word. And like I stated earlier, that we can absolutely vehemently disagree with everything he said, but a person's speech should not be a reason someone is assassinated.
Exactly. Yeah. That's basically what I'm trying to say. Is Yeah.
I got you. I think that's what it comes down to. And so again, people are going to respond. I think people have used words this morning that, they're feeling numb or indifferent or apathetic about it. And those are just normal reactions. This is kind of the spot that we're in now, right? So, but again, those two things can't be true. We can say that he was a vile human being because he was, for the things that he said, the things that he did, the things that he caused, the harm inflicted because of things that he said, the red pilling of young American men for the most part. That's all real. That shit happened. That is real. The things that he said about black people, about indigenous communities, about the LGBTQI community, about women, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That's all vile shit. And he should not have lost his life because of it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yep.
And also people who feel the way they feel right now, whether it being numb or not having specifically for Charlie Kirk, like that is okay. That doesn't make you a bad person devoid of empathy. And I think that's like important, especially in a time like, even though we don't know Charlie Kirk on a personal level, he's enough in our people's lives who follow political stuff to be affecting you with the 5 stages of grief. So like this is not nobody's emotion. Even if you had a like quote unquote bad reaction by doing something like laughing, I laugh all of the time when people die. I cannot help it. I was sitting in the room with my grandmother when she was passing on, and I was laughing. I just can't. Yeah. So even if you have some sort of like quote unquote not normal reaction, that is all okay. And we shouldn't be judging each other as long as you're not like saying anything harmful, if I'm making sense. Sorry, that was a little off kind of my notes.
It's okay. I mean, I get what you, and I want to move on to somebody else, Heather, but no, I get what you're saying. Again, we have to, this is a humanity check for all of us. And I'm glad Hector started the show off today by checking his own humanity, because we know the things that he has said. I don't want to reiterate it, but we know the things that Charlie Kirk has said about marginalized communities, and how he said that oftentimes to have the freedoms and liberties that we have requires sacrifice to be able to have your 2A. So this is where we are. But thank you for jumping in today, friend. I promise I will not forget.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
You got to see you later. Yeah, I mean, it's a wave of emotions, and I'm not going to tell anybody how they can or can't feel. I want to address a comment. I am intimately aware of my privilege. I am intimately aware of it. I am trying to unpack it every single day, and I like to try to use my privilege for good. And that's what we're trying to do here. And have I got blind spots? Absolutely. And I want to be called on them. I struggle with anybody. I'm not going to say justifying. I just struggle with people saying he got what he deserved. I just don't see it that way. I don't see it that way. He shouldn't be surprised. People around him should not be surprised what happened because of the things that he said. Which is why, again, I'll say that we're not free. We can't be free if we can't express ourselves. Disagree all you want. Our country was built under that foundation, right? Can't be free if we can't express our opinions. I want people to disagree with me. We talk about this a lot in the mod chat. I want them to contradict me. They know that. They know it's a safe space. And again, that's not about us in our little community, but that's what we should all want. But I don't think anybody should be subjected to an assassination because of their views. Actions and words do have consequences, and that's what we ran into yesterday. We don't know. Apparently, there is reports of a firearm being recovered. Mods, can you guys check that? Don't know. We'll try to look into that. Again, I just want people to understand that let's put it this way. We step out of the world today. It's different. It's different. It's different every single day. It's different every single day. I will absolutely know, and I will say this 10 toes down, that under perfect conditions in our country, marginalized communities are always under threat. Under perfect conditions. So every time that something bad happens, it gets worse for them. Always. Always. And don't forget, every fucking time we ask help in saving ourselves from ourselves, it's black women who step up every fucking time. And yet they are one of the communities that is constantly under threat, even if things are going well. Okay, here's a bit of an update. Apparently the perpetrator's rifle and footprints were recovered. Let's see. Mother of person of interest says son was a Kirk supporter. Mother of a man who had been interviewed by the FBI and was later cleared said her son was at the Kirk event because he admires him and he was simply swept up in the chaos. He likes him. He went to a Turning Point Leadership Conference in Detroit. Her son Zachariah age 25, was a person of interest that was released. Zachariah told his family he was about 25 feet away when the attack occurred, and he was unsure initially if the noise was a firecracker. For a second, it was unclear if it was part of the event. They rushed him away. He didn't see any blood. She said her son told the family that Kirk fell out of sight after her son's name was linked publicly with the shooting. He said threats were made against him online. At a news conference today, investigators acknowledged that they had located a couple of persons of interest. Despite being cleared and released, they faced threats, the officials said. We ask the public to be patient with the investigative process. We ask that you do not impose into people's lives. There's been like 130 tips that have come through. Just claims about, hold on. Anybody? Just claims about, oh, thank you for the puppy love. I appreciate you. Let's see. Trump has announced he's going to be posthumously awarding Charlie Kirk with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Again. Recognizing someone with the highest civilian honor that you can receive. The Medal of Freedom, the Presidential Medal of Freedom, is the highest civilian honor that someone in our country can receive. And you're giving it to someone posthumously, obviously, who has promoted hate, who has promoted just horrible things said about every marginalized community out there. That tracks. That tracks. That totally tracks. Rush Limbaugh got the Medal of Freedom. Rudy Giuliani got the Medal of Freedom. Where's the Medal of Freedom for Brett Cross? For doing what he does every single day. Standing up to the absolute horrible things that people say about him and his family. Where's his Medal of Freedom? Where are the Medal of Freedom for the individuals, the children in the church at Annunciation Catholic School who laid themselves on top of the bodies of other kids so that they wouldn't get hurt? Where's their Medal of Freedom? That's what I'm talking about, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's a clear divide in our country. There's an absolute clear divide. It's clearer than it's ever been. Just like the comments that somebody made earlier about how, well, he didn't say anything disparaging about women. Well, you don't think they're disparaging. That's the problem. You just don't. I do. I don't see women as second class. I don't think women should just stay in the home. I don't think women should have to choose between if they want to choose between their career and having a kid, that's up to them. I don't think they should have to. I don't think they should be subservient to their husbands. Here we are.
Good morning.
Hi, Jen. How you doing?
How are you? You hanging in there, buddy?
Yep, I am. How about you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Sorry, the puppy. So what I wanted to, my comment about today is not necessarily about the incident, but is about the reaction that's happening.
Sure.
My biggest problem, I guess the thing that incites more anger in me is that the amount of hypocrisy that happens. I think what happened yesterday was horrible, should never have happened. It's just bad. But so was Melissa Hortman.
Exactly.
So were the children in that church. So
Correct.
were all the people that were injured or unalived at the No Kings protest.
Correct.
And my problem is that there's this outcry from the right, because the left, I feel like, has always been like, this is not okay. But the right seems to have this overwhelming, like, how could you say this? This is so terrible, and being angry. But they didn't seem to say that when Melissa Hortman was assassinated in her home.
No, I agree.
And they didn't say that stuff when Nancy Pelosi's husband was attacked. In
Correct.
fact, they made a Halloween costume about it.
They did.
And so my personal feeling is that as much as I hate what happened yesterday, and I think it was wrong, and I feel terrible for those children, I'm going to give the same amount of empathy as they give when it happens to people on the left. Because I just feel like that's, I just feel like if we don't, it's almost like you have to teach people what it feels like when you give them a taste of their own medicine. Does that make sense?
It does. But again, I think that what I'm trying to be consistent about all morning is that I have no sympathy for him. I do for his children and for his wife. I just don't believe that somebody should be assassinated for their political speak.
No, 100%. I agree with you. But when Melissa Hortman was assassinated, you didn't see an outcry of from the right.
Exactly.
And that's where I have the problem. So I feel like when she was assassinated, whatever empathy and the response that you had, it's going to be the same from me. You might have said, well, it's terrible, but you definitely didn't go to this degree.
Yeah, exactly. No, I completely agree with you. I appreciate that, Chad. I completely agree. Be safe out there. Appreciate what you do.
Too. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Bye. A little bit more reporting. Utah DPS Commissioner Bo Mason said that the person arrived on the campus of Utah Valley University at 11:52 a.m. Authorities then tracked the subject through stairwells and up to and across the roof from where they fired the fatal shot after the unaliving. Mason said officials tracked the shooter's movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off the roof, and fled to a nearby neighborhood. Officials were combing through the neighborhood and contacting witnesses as well as anyone with the doorbell cameras to identify leads. Quote, "We do have good video footage of this individual. We are not going to release that video at this time. We are working through some technologies in some ways to identify this individual." Mason added, "If we are unsuccessful, we will reach out to you as the media and we will push that publicly to help us identify them. But we are confident in our abilities right now and we would like to move forward in a manner that keeps everyone safe and then moves this process appropriately." Okay, that's what I've got. Let's see. They have images. Yeah, it looks like they have images. Can I just get hearts in the chat for my mod team? They are busting their ass to try to keep on to stay on top of this shit. They are breaking news as literally as it's happening. Hearts in the chat for my mods, please. Best mods in the business. Let's see. They have images of the dude that think they did this, but aren't going public with anything. He gained entry, fled to the nearby neighborhood. They've gotten hundreds of ring cam footage. They have the weapon, apparently. They have palm and forearm imprints and footwear imprints. They asked the public in attendance to please send in any footage of the crowd or event that they may have. And apparently, according to the tip lines, there's over a couple hundred tips that have come through. That's what we know. That's what we know.
Good morning.
Betta, how are you?
I'm good, as well as one can be expected today, and I apologize. I don't normally come up, but nice to meet you officially.
You too.
What I wanted to mention is something that I haven't heard much about, and I opened up a conversation with both of my children, but one of them I didn't get the chance to talk to until this morning, and with the open accessibility of the video of what happened, they didn't want to watch it. And it was, oh my gosh, watch this. And so they were shown said video and are incredibly not okay. And me personally, I haven't watched it. It's gone on my do not watch list. But I just want to make sure that we're talking to our kids and just checking in on them and making sure just how they're doing. And if they are shown a video that they don't want to see, or even being able to say, no, I don't want to see that, and letting them know that that's okay to say as well. And if a child happens to be comfortable watching it, to make sure to get consent before sharing it. Not that I hope anyone is comfortable watching something like that, but I think that was that's kind of the point. But that's all I wanted to say is just please make sure we're talking to our kids and not, imposing our opinions on it, but at least making sure they're okay and that they're not, again, being fed something that they don't want.
I think that's a great call out. Thank you for jumping in and talking about that this morning. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. You got it. Actually, I got talked to my kids about it last night. They're just like, we had these conversations. We talk about, they know what their dad does here and they know what I do for work and they know, right? And they're just like, this is nuts. And, they say in the video, I don't know. I would love to shield them from it because I don't think anybody should have to see that because it's just completely graphic and just horrible. And I hope to never see it again. I wish I hadn't watched it, but it is. I want to go back again. That it tells you a lot. It tells you a lot that we lower the flags to half staff until Sunday. Okay, until Sunday for someone who is considered the leading voice of the conservative movement in America that has said all these hateful things. And he's going to be posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That tells you a lot. That should tell you a lot about how one political movement in our country sees things. They see the diminishment of women. They see the diminishment of marginalized communities. They don't want college. He goes to college campuses and says that college is criminal. You're ripping out. It's a joke. It's a fraud. That's what he does. That's what he does. That doesn't speak to unity. That doesn't speak to unity at all. I'm going to shout out Sam for a second. The Democrats should introduce a gun reform law named the Charlie Kirk bill and see what Republicans do. Great idea. Contact your Democratic elected officials and ask them to do just that. And tell them Sam sent you. Broken thumb and all. Go get an x-ray. If you know, you know. Seriously. I mean, again, I just think about that for a second. Just think about that for a second. we are going to honor someone who is unapologetically divisive. He's talked about it. How he diminishes everything. Institutions. That's not somebody that we should be championing. Think about people in our nation's history that have received the Presidential Medal of Freedom. The Presidential Medal of Freedom. People who've made a difference in our society, whether it be culturally or morally. It's been poets and civil rights leaders and musicians and songwriters. And President Trump has given it to Rudy Giuliani and Rush Limbaugh and now Charlie Kirk. This isn't a disagreement over political ideology. That's just fucking nonsense. Right? Right? You can disagree with Robert De Niro. Sure, disagree. But we're talking about impact on society. Impact on society. Right? So we're going to give Charlie Kirk, put him in the same precipice or the same pedestal, is the word I'm looking for, as those people? President can do whatever the fuck he wants. I get that. But really? But really? You're right. It's about morality. What did I just do here? What the hell happened? Hold on. I don't know what I did. I gotta fix it though. Here we go. I don't know what to say about that. I really don't know what to say, but it's indicative. I know, Obi, I know it's not a big deal, but it's symbolic. I know it's not a big deal. I know it means nothing, but it's just, it's my, actually, I would say it means a lot. I know it's symbolic, but it does mean a lot. because of what it stands for, because of not what it stands for, but what we are doing in what we are saying as a nation in recognizing someone like that to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's just wild to me. It's just, I think we all expected it. Why are the flags not flown at half staff every single day a child is murdered in our schools? The flags would never be anything other than at half staff. This is the point here. He's now a martyr. And someone else will attempt to take up the reins, and that's who we are. That's who we are as a nation. We're not free. You're not free to love who you want. You're not free to pray or not pray to whom you want or don't want. You're not free to petition your government. You're not free to speak out against your government. You're not free to redress your grievances. You're not free to peacefully assemble. You're called a radical. You're called a thug. You're called an enemy from the state, enemy of the state. It's the same old stuff that it always is. It's the same stuff. It's the same stuff. Hi, Indy. How are you today?
How you doing,
Hello?
my friend?
I'm good.
Yes, I'm here. How you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm wonderful, my friend. I was just basically trying to get on here to ask you about the sacrificial lamb. And do you? I know you know. I know you know what that means.
Right. We're not justifying it, though, are we?
No, we're not justifying it at all. But my point is, when you have a group of individuals that are leaning towards anger, hatred, and then all of a sudden you were losing them due to a situation that you put yourself in, far as the Epstein file is concerned, and you realize that you're losing your people due to this, then someone has to be labeled. And that's just my opinion. I don't believe it had nothing to do with the left. I mean the right. I just don't believe it.
Let's not. Yeah, we don't know. So let's only talk about things we know. Let's not make assumptions, right? We should.
Right.
That's really. It's really dangerous. Let's not make assumptions.
Right.
Let's focus on what we know. We don't have all the information yet. We know what happened yesterday. We don't have all the data. We want to be careful not to make any assumptions, right? And I'm not saying that you're doing that. Let's just be careful, right? Because this should not be
careful. But
yeah.
But my thing is, when I see those children in Colorado was like undervalued due to this tragic situation, that hurt me a lot. That messed with me a lot. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, okay, that happened, but these children are constantly being subjected to this type of violence, and there's no outrage. It's almost like a sweep under the rug. Like these children can be unalive today and not talked about tomorrow. But we want to do something for 4 or 5 days for this man that 90, I ain't gonna say 90, for like 60% of the country did not agree with. Nothing that came out of his mouth.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I don't disagree. I don't think we're making, somebody commented that, I don't think we're making assumptions that it was politically oriented. We're talking about a political figure who's part of a political movement and an ideology. So that's what we're talking about. But Indy, thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you for being here. And you're right. Thank you very much. You got it. Yeah, well, we know that the reaction is always the same from school violence. It's thoughts and prayers and no action. That's what we get. Should we expect anything different to change? I love Sam's idea about Democrats unifying and introducing the Charlie Kirk gun safety law or whatever it might be. Name it. Put a label on it. Somebody just emailed their governor about the Charlie Kirk bill. That's doing something. Yeah, he called him a martyr last night. I don't have any. I don't know how this is going to end. Hey, good morning, friend. How are you?
Hi. I'm fine. I just wanted to, I want to tell you guys about when I was in Vienna over the summer. There was a mass pew-pewing there, and I think 4 or 5 people unalived. Vienna practically shut down. All flags were flown at half-mast. Many parties and regular things, ongoings were stopped for. There were 3 days of mourning in the country, and there were moments of silence. And this is how important their people are to them, and this is how unusual pew-pew violence is. And I can't believe that we can't drop the flags when we lose. What I say is that we, sacrifice our children on the altar of pew-pews. But and then to see it in, this is a diametrically opposed thing here. What's happening for somebody who spread hatred? We are just thinking wrong. And I agree with everything you're saying today. So, and it's always so nice to hear you speak. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thanks for being here today. I want to make a correction. Jen Cat RN is the one who had the idea about the Charlie Kirk crime prevention bill or the Charlie Kirk gun reform bill. Want to make sure that Jen gets credit where credit is due. So my apologies, Jen. But yeah, it's a great idea. No matter what, it's a great idea. It's interesting that what Real Life just said, because it's indicative of what we talk about in this space a lot about what does our country prioritize, right? What do we prioritize here? Because we can always talk about things in terms of lack of access to mental health. Thank you, Tracy. Appreciate that. We can all address it. We can all stand here and say 10 toes down that we have a mental health crisis across the world. There's no denying that. What's unique about our country, though, is that we have more firearms than anybody else, and we have the highest rates of deaths of children between the ages of 1 and 18 is firearms. Want to have the conversation about mental health? Sure, let's have it. Tell Republicans to stop defunding it. Tell Republicans to stop cutting programs that are just going to make it harder and harder for people, which is going to mean there's going to be more of a continued demise in people's mental health. Other countries around the world just prioritize their citizens. That they've just decided that that's a priority to them. We're going to prioritize our citizens. We're going to raise your taxes a little bit, but we're also going to make sure that you have access to universal health care. We're going to spend more time and more research on what goes into your food, because we want to keep our society healthier, because we're paying for the health care. Communities and countries around the world, in response to firearm violence, did what? They made it harder, or they eliminated them altogether. What do? Thoughts and prayers, more money from the gun lobby, and more guns. The model is a bit broken. But again, it's who we are, because we're not free. We're not free. We're not. Everybody talks about it in terms of this patriotic bullshit. We're not free. We're not free. That's it. Accept it. People on the right have been told a lie for centuries about what the 2A is, what it was for, what it was meant to do. And there's still millions of people in our country that believes that gives you the 2A gives you right to rise up against the government, when we have the treason clause in the Constitution that says, hey, by the way, if you rise up against the government and we prove it in court, punishable by death. I don't know what to say. I really don't know what to say. It is true, Flattered. It is true. You just say it's not true? It's not true that the Constitution has a treason clause? Wow, this will be fun. It's not true, according to a trader in the comment section. Article 3, Section 3, the treason clause. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. Levying war against the U.S., taking up arms to overthrow the government, giving aid and comfort to U.S. enemies, especially during wartime, are acts of treason. Are acts of treason. Article 3, Section 3 of the Constitution. In fact, it's even named the Treason Clause. Treason only covers two specific acts: levying war against the U.S., taking up arms to overthrow the government, and giving aid and comfort to U.S. enemies, especially during wartime. Probably didn't know that. That's fine. That's fine. We're here to teach. Good morning, my brother.
Good morning, brother. I'm okay. Just two quick points. As we've observed for, however long, MAGA is so disconnected from reality that when you show them this is a peanut butter sandwich, you hand it to them, they think it's a, Chrysler Cordova. Yesterday in several lives, no one was singing the praises of what happened yesterday, but some of the MAGA that came in, of course, is, all the left is responsible. You guys are, asking for it, blah, blah, blah. And when we would quote Charlie Kirk, and some people showed video of things he had said, they just denied it. They denied it. They said, no, he never said that. I'm like, dude, he made a fucking career out of these things.
And millions of dollars.
And millions of dollars. And you were a fan. And now you're living in total denial because the chickens kind of came home to roost on your side.
A little bit.
So we're going to see more of that. And I think that, naming a Charlie Kirk bill, while I find the irony in it, I think it just adds insult to injury.
Yeah, but it's the hypocrisy. I think it's addressing the hypocrisy, right? I think that's the point.
Yeah, I completely agree. But they never address hypocrisy or even acknowledge it exists. But the other thing, I've also heard a lot of them say, we're happy this happened, and I had to sit back and think, and it's like there seems like there's three reactions. Yes, there are some people who are dancing in the streets. There's like 8 of them. They're wrong. They should not. This is I think about those 2 children who lost their father.
Great.
That's not. I think Charlie Kirk was an atrocious human being. I think Charlie Kirk capitalized on such a divisive movement, such a white supremacist movement, on and on and on. Troglodyte, hated him. Mm-hmm. But did he deserve this? No. Am I shedding a tear? Also, no.
Correct.
No. It's, you reap what you sow, so to speak, and they're refusing to acknowledge he sowed these seeds. It's all us. We didn't even know who did it.
His own language about the Second Amendment, like sacrifices may be necessary to protect them. I mean, his own language. I mean,
absolutely.
Again, I want to say it again. Vehemently disagree with just about everything he said, but I believe in the concept of free speech. Someone should not lose their life because of their political views. I believe that. Maybe I'm a little bit alone on the island, but I'll take that. That's fine. Maybe that's a privileged stance. Maybe that's a privileged take. I don't know. But it just seems like we can't claim to be free. We can't claim to say that we should be able to say what we want when someone else says what they want, even though we disagree with it. They shouldn't lose their life over it.
I agree. I agree with that. And no. Did he deserve to lose his life over this? No, I don't think so.
No.
But am I going to, like I said, shed a tear? No.
Nope.
Sorry. You were one of the most divisive voices in the country. You made a shitload of money by helping the process of breaking us as a nation.
Correct.
And, on the same day that children were on the receiving end of bullets, we're going to talk about you loathsome person. No.
Yeah. I mean, the things that he has said about school shootings, about just give more people more guns, we'll solve the problem. Just give more people more firearms. Never willing to address it. Nope. The only time he would ever talk about mental health reform was regarding gender affirming care. That was the only time he ever talked about it.
Yeah.
And use it to insult the trans community. Period. That's the only time he ever talked about it. The only time he talked about it. He called colleges, a ripoff, a scam, right? So, and then how ironic that you're in a place where you literally loathe institutions of higher learning. You are in a state that has some of the most lax firearm laws in the country, surrounded by conservatives who likely support what you said, and you became the sacrifice, the martyr, sadly.
Yeah, that's the part that I know we're all going to be. It's a shit sandwich, and we're all going to have to take a bite because he is becoming a martyr.
Correct.
And we all know what crazy things people will do for their martyrs. So everybody just be safe out there.
You too, buddy.
Don't we can't stop, our movement.
Nope.
And we can't let this distract us. But
you're right.
But it sure is distracting them. So
you're right. Yep. Thanks for jumping in, pal. Appreciate you as always. See you later, man. You got it, bud. Later, bye. There's some reporting from the Wall Street Journal. I'm just running through my process here as to whether or not I should share it. That's public. Apparently, this is from the Wall Street Journal. Apparently, ammunition engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology was found inside the rifle authorities believe was used in Kirk's shooting. That's all it says. Ammunition engraved with transgender and anti-fascist ideology was found. So I don't know. I don't even know what that means at this point. The regional FBI director was fired. Is that correct? Investigators found ammunition engraved with expressions of transgender and anti-fascist ideology inside the rifle that authorities believe was used in the fatal unaliving of Charlie Kirk, according to an internal law enforcement bulletin and a person familiar with the investigation. The older model 30 caliber hunting rifle was discovered in the woods near the scene of Wednesday's shooting at Utah Valley University, wrapped in a towel with a spent cartridge still in the chamber, the sources said. There was also 3 unspent rounds in the magazine, all with wording on them. That's what we know. I'm with you, Sam. I don't know what anti-fascist ideology even means. So, what does that even mean? I don't know. Don't know. Yeah, it's too convenient. This is the problem that we run into all the time now. No Limit, are you there? No Limit. Hi.
Hello. I'm not doing well, just FYI.
I figured.
Yeah. I have so many conflicting thoughts and feelings right now. I don't know what to do with them. Overwhelmed.
Let them out. Let them out.
So, here's the thing. I've been fighting against pew-pew violence for 30 years.
No.
My sister has been even more heavily involved than I have. She's spoken in front of Congress, et cetera, right? She gave She was the keynote speaker at the National Victims of Gun Violence in DC last year. We've been in this fight a long time. When you experience something like this personally, it's a different reaction to something like this than if you haven't. I'll just be brutally honest with you. You know how I feel about Donald Trump. I'm sure you know how I feel about Charlie Kirk. He has said disgusting things that I revile, right?
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, because I have PTSD from gun violence, okay, for anyone who doesn't know, I witnessed the unaliving of my father. I was standing 3 or 4 feet away from him. So when I saw this, when Donald Trump was fired at, and when I saw this, I had the exact same reaction both times. Horror, fear, tears. Just no. Because I don't think people understand, when they haven't been through something like this, what it's like to lose somebody you care about in this way. And when you're in the position that I'm in, that's a visceral response that overrides any of your political ideologies. And you just go straight to those human beings who are now going to survive this. I disagree with them. Okay? I think that the things they have said have made our country a lot worse.
Agreed.
I oppose them every day. At the same time, you know, like I posted something. I rarely ever say anything on Facebook anymore, because when Donald Trump was running, you know, I started speaking out against him and basically lost every single person I grew up with. Like, I just don't talk to them anymore, and ended up blocking everybody because they were so vile. And the hypocrisy that I'm seeing from some of the people I still have left is making me ill. You know, like people saying the right doesn't behave this way. Nobody on the right celebrates violence. Like, I'm sifting through dozens of messages I've gotten with unaliving threats against me just for talking about what happened to my dad. I'm sifting through tweets from popular right-wing podcasters who said, for example, when Melissa Hortman was unalived, that she had it coming because she voted against them. And this should be a warning to all Democrats. The hypocrisy makes me ill. I don't have answers for how to deal with that. I don't. So I'm coming at this from both a survivor who experienced like basically the same thing that his wife and kids are now experiencing. All I can say about the babies that he had is they won't remember it. Thank goodness.
Yeah, thank goodness.
However, they'll also never know their dad, which I don't care who he is. Living without your father your entire life is not something I would wish upon anybody.
Nope.
It's been awful.
Yep.
And the worst part is this is highly publicized, and it always will be. They will never be able to escape this. And in addition to that, my thoughts are with all of the people who witnessed, because this is a highly traumatizing thing to experience. And I really feel for everybody who was there.
Same.
You know, I just selfishly, I suppose, I would like to remind everyone that anyone who has experienced pew-pew violence is struggling right now. All of us. With
Agreed.
being triggered with this and figuring out how to respond.
Agreed.
Right? But I will say, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Parker yet, even though we are friends. I will. But Charlie Kirk said that empathy was ruining America.
Correct.
And I just have to vehemently disagree with that. He also said that it was worth it to lose a certain number of lives every year to this. I vehemently disagree with that as well. And
same here.
I will say, Charlie, I'm sorry that this happened to you. And I wish that you didn't think that that was worth it. Because I doubt if you'd lived, you would think so. And
Agreed.
I doubt that your wife and kids are going to think it was worth it. in their hearts, regardless of what they say. And if I refuse to experience the empathy that comes naturally to me because I'm angry at this person for what they stood for, I don't know how that makes me better than anyone else who doesn't express empathy for me. That's not something, that I'm not capable of not having empathy for anyone who has to lose their life that way.
Tell me about it.
I'm all over the place. I don't even know what I just said. I literally don't even know what I just said.
We do. It's the same. It's the same sentiment we've had for most of the morning, Amber. That we can that he's just vehemently disagree with everything he has to say, but doesn't deserve to lose his life because of it.
Yeah, it's sad.
Yeah.
It's a sad way to end your story.
Correct.
I would have loved for him to end his story by changing his mind or becoming softened and realizing empathy does matter. I would have loved any of those alternatives, not this. Because the thing that concerns me the most right now, and why I'm the most upset about this, is because all this has done is embolden the people who already supported him even more. More people will go out and buy firearms. I guarantee it, because they do every time something like this happens.
Yep.
And people are amped up and emotional. More people are going to experience violence. And now, more violence is going to be targeted at the marginalized communities that Charlie spoke out against.
Correct.
And that's terrifying.
Correct.
So this didn't accomplish anything. I've seen some people who are happy about it or celebrating it. Just remember that they're going to turn around and target us back at the communities you say that you want to protect. So they are in more danger now because this happened. This didn't help anyone.
No. Nope.
Right? So it's just bad all the way around. Believe me, I have my dark thoughts. I'm not even going to say them, but I'm sure you know what they are.
I do.
Well, he fought for this, in a sense. I have those thoughts. Of course I do. But
he did.
As a human being, as a daughter,
not only fought for it, but enriched himself.
Yeah. And I disagree with all of that.
Yep, same.
But as a daughter who lost her father this same way, it's just horrifying. And
it is.
I don't want to see these things happening at all, ever.
Me neither.
So
I love you.
I'm going to continue to say that it's wrong, and I'm going to continue to disagree with his stance and say that we should be fighting against emboldening people this way. So that's it.
I appreciate you as always. Check in with me later. Make sure you're doing okay. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks. Love you, Steve.
I love you. See you later. She's right. Just these feelings. I mean, I've noticed this morning that for the most part, the feelings have been consistent. There's numbness. There's kind of indifference. How are we supposed to react? I don't have sympathy for him. I have sympathy for his kids, and I have sympathy for his wife. And I don't believe anybody should ever. I just don't believe anybody should be subjected to what he was subjected to yesterday because of their speech. I just don't. I just don't. And I think the majority of people in here today feel the same way. I do want to remind folks, because also yesterday, 2 students were wounded in a shooting at Evergreen High School in Colorado. The suspect is now confirmed deceased. Authorities said a boy opened fire with a handgun Wednesday at high school near Denver, wounding 2 students before taking his own life. The shooting occurred just before 12:30 p.m. at Evergreen High School in Colorado. Foothills, about 28 miles southwest of Denver, according to Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. The suspect was believed to be a student at the school. One of the 2 students, victims who was shot, was in critical condition at St. Anthony's Hospital in Lakewood. The second student was described as having injuries that were not life-threatening and is no longer at the hospital. Preliminary investigation revealed the shooting took place inside and outside of the school building. Adding the suspect used a hand pew, and numerous students witnessed the shooting. Suspects sustained and self-inflicted. That happened yesterday. Not even a mention of that anywhere on in right-wing circles. Not a mention of it anywhere. Not opposing the president, at least at last check. None of it. None of it. So we're glorifying the martyr that is now Charlie Kirk. We're glorifying that. And we just now ignore school shootings. You know, you get gas, you go to the grocery store, you hear about a school shooting. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
A little shaken. I live in the DMV in the DC area, and we already have the National Guard in this area, and he's trying to bring them to Baltimore and some other places to deliberately attack my community and the Brown community. I would never wish death on anyone. I was married to a Marine for 20 years. I know what it was like to watch my ex-husband walk out the door and not know if he was going to come home. We were overseas during 9/11 when my older two were small. I hadn't had my youngest daughter at that point. I just, it's so interesting how I can have compassion and empathy for this man's wife and children for someone who had none for us. This man would go up and lie about how we were 13% of the population and 58% of the people incarcerated, when we have a 64% exoneration rate. Correct. We don't make up 13% of the population. They've just released that we make up 30% of the population. So the thing that I feel so bad for his wife and his kids, because I had friends who lost their husbands during 9/11 after that, going back out to war. One friend in particular, both our third children were born literally within a week of each other. And she lost her husband due to the fact that he was injured in an explosion, had an infection, and died on the operating table. So this hits kind of home. I don't know how other military spouses or veterans feel about this, but for him to say, for him to say that these unalivings were necessary for the Second Amendment, what is it going to take? The very person who said this is now unalived. What's it going to take? And now my community and the LGBTQA plus community, immigrants, we're all now in danger. It just makes no sense to me. And now people are, we have to gear up even more, especially in my community, because we're so visible and immigrants are so visible. Now we have to worry about someone deciding to take revenge on us, and we aren't even the reason why he has been unalived. It's going to be the excuse. And I just don't know how to process this, because this is just going to embolden those people out there. Because Trump he's got all the flags at half-mast. What about that senator who was unalived at her home? Nothing. J.D. Vance told us all to get over the school pew-pews.
So did Trump.
It's amazing how when it happens to them, all of a sudden it's a horrific crime. It's been happening in my community forever. Dr. King was assassinated. So was Malcolm X. Fred Hammond. These were people who were trying to make the world better for everyone.
Right.
And yet, this is a man who I just watched him the other day use a racial slur against an Asian person on a talk show he was on. He was constantly race baiting. Constantly. Mm-hmm. And yet, it's funny. We in the Black community are always taught to pray for our enemies. He literally was an enemy to our community, and yet we will still continue to pray for his family. We will still consider to have the empathy that he said no one should have, because it's New Age. And what kills me is with a lot of so-called white Christians, they're very quick to throw the name of Jesus out, until you say things like he told people forgive 70 times, 7 times. That's how often you're supposed to forgive. Turn the other cheek. If people, even Paul said, if nobody wants to hear the good news, dust off your sandals and move on. These are the people who cherry pick the Bible cherry pick it. And then they get mad at us for saying things like, this man spoke death over himself. The power of life and death is in the tongue, and those who love it will bear the fruit therein. But when people say that, look, this man kept talking about this kind of violence, and now he has been unalived by it. And if we in other communities say, hey, the Bible says, be not deceived, God will not be mocked, then we're attacked for it. My heart really goes out to his family, because being a former military wife, I have had friends go through this, and I cannot bring myself to wish harm on him or his children. I just can't. It's just not in me. And I just feel so bad for his wife and his kids, because his kids are now growing up without a dad.
Correct.
They're growing up, they really won't remember him. And that's the sad part. And they will hear good things and bad things about their father, but they won't be able to say, hey, Dad, did you really say this? Yeah. They've been deprived of that. And I feel really bad for them, because I have friends who lost their husbands during wartime. And I feel so much compassion for them, because she probably is not going to sleep for weeks. She's got to be strong for her kids. She's going to have a huge support system to get through this. And yet, this same man would have probably said, that's what you get, if it had been my dad or my brother. And yet I can have compassion and empathy for his family. That's what I think is so insane about it.
You're so right, as always. I appreciate you. Be safe out there, okay?
You too. Have a great day, guys.
I love you, friend. Take care.
Love you too.
I think we're going to end. I'm cooked. I want to say this, that we can't normalize this, because it's not normal. Under no circumstance is this. We can't just continue to walk through life like this, just expecting this to happen. Sadly, it is just going to happen again. But we can't just Gregory again for the win. Don't get distracted. Don't get distracted. We cannot relent on the fact that we are in this fight on our own. The right wing is the overwhelming perpetrators of political violence, the overwhelming perpetrators of violence in general. And at the front and center of that are white, cis, hetero men. Full stop. I want to send a special thank you to my mods today because of all of this, and they have been busting their asses. Thank you, guys. I love you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you all for being here. I don't know who's even live right now, if anybody is, but maybe you guys just touch some grass for a little while. Maybe just get outside, get some fresh air, take your dog for a walk, pet your dog, lay down on the floor, take off your shoes, ground yourself, whatever you need to do, because this is going to get worse before it gets better. Reach out to people that are in communities, especially communities of color, black communities, brown communities, LGBTQI, your friends in those communities, women, the disabled, the infirmed, those people, again, under threat, always. And now it's just going to get worse.